and welcome to another beer review. Now, this is a kind of another kind of late continuation of some of the other series. I need to start sorting some of them out into playlists. When I was doing the kind of more mainstream kind of beers and lagers and things like this, so this is a kind of a late add-on to that. So today we're going to basically quickly review San Miguel. Bring it in. San Miguel. Bit of a bashed can because it's been rattling about in the fridge, the back of the fridge, and before the wife went away, she's probably spent a good few weeks bashing the hell out of it with all her stuff being in and out of the fridge. So it's been in the wars. So yes, it's San Miguel. It's kind of more kind of mainstream. It's 5%. There's a 440ml can. It usually works out roughly. You can get them in lots of different kind of pack sizes and things like this. Sold as a 4-pack usually, and you can get them in multi-packs. You get them in bottles and things like this. There's always some sort of kind of multi-pack sale. I think roughly about a 4-pack is working out roughly about £4.55 for a 4-pack, but I think if you buy a larger multi-pack, then it's going to work out cheaper per can or per bottle. It's a cerveza. It's a Spanish based beer. I don't think there's really any spiel on the can, but I will check it anyway. Again, Spanish beer is kind of similar to kind of Mexican beer in some ways. It tends to kind of be a kind of lighter beer. Says it's unique, authentic, so it's unique and authentic since 1890 apparently. It's brewed in the UK by Carlsberg, so it's a bit of Spanish man left bollock. In Northampton, there you go. And of course it's like a little enclave of Spain, isn't it, Northampton? It's just unbelievable. But anyway, I just find it amazing. Yeah. Spanish beer from Northampton. It's just, God. Some of these, I'm going to keep these on actually because I can see things better. I can actually read some of the kind of information on the actual camera screen that usually when I'm wearing the other glasses it's fine, but I can't read it and I don't even know how long the actual video's been on for because I can't actually even see the time counter on it. Getting old and the eyesight's getting really crap. Probably a bit like these beer reviews, and so probably some people think, but anyway, let's get down to it. Let's taste this cerveza from Northampton, Carlsberg. Jesus God. I'm telling you, see some of these big beer companies, they've absolutely ruined the bloody beer industry, absolutely ruined it, dreadful. People say about capitalisation is brilliant and wonderful. In some ways it's definitely not, and especially not in the kind of beer industry. But anyway, I think just before we actually try this, I think one of the things is about the beer industry. Now, we had this kind of big conglomerates coming in and buying up distilleries and things like this in the whiskey industry. But because the whiskey industry is quite heavily regulated by the Scottish Whisky Association, that not only do they protect the kind of the authenticity of whiskey outside of the UK, but they also kind of make sure it's well regulated within the UK. And even though a lot of big companies have bought over smaller distillers and everything else, and there has maybe been some casualties and some whiskies have been lost and some brands have been lost, in general a lot of the whiskies and brands have remained because because of how the Whisky Association regulates things, that there is no fast track, and a lot of the big companies, yeah, they can't mass produce. They still have to use these distillers. So there hasn't been many distilleries that have been closed down with big conglomerates buying them up and thinking, oh well, we'll make them that whiskey somewhere else and make it more mass produced. You can't really do that with whiskey, and especially with how the Whisky Association makes sure it's policing internally. So that's been one good thing. I think probably within the UK it would have been good if there was a kind of a beer association that was kind of policing kind of more kind of British and kind of traditional beers. And I think if that had been in place with a lot of these big breweries kind of buying over smaller breweries and everything else, yeah, you couldn't make these beers away from its kind of natural kind of brewery or where it should be brewed or where it was always brewed and things like that. And I think we would have probably had a far better end product, and a lot of brands would have probably still been here and being a lot more authentic to the kind of original, as it is with whiskey. I mean, you've got Diageo that have bought over lots of distilleries, and yes, these distilleries are still making their whiskey brands, and they're still making them to the exact same kind of standard and process as what they've always done. Just unfortunately that a lot of the profits go to Diageo and things like that. But of course, Diageo also brings heavy marketing and everything else. So a lot of these brands are now available around the world and not just locally in the UK. So of course there's the benefit of that. It would have been good if something like that had happened in the kind of beer industry. I think it's a case of we had an association or an organisation that was protecting kind of traditional UK breweries, beer brands and traditional processes. I think it's a case as though we would have been in a lot better situation than we are now, and probably a lot of really good brands and really good kind of traditional beers and breweries would still be open and still be producing wonderful beers. So I think yes, there's been a severe failing from that. So as bad as kind of the corporate capitalism has been for the beer industry, it hasn't been the same for the whiskey industry, and the real difference is having a kind of organisation or association that polices the industry and makes sure that the traditional brewing methods and everything else. I mean, I think it's a case as though if you're going to brew something and you're going to call it whatever style of beer it is, it has to be brewed in that traditional style, and the whole process has to be kind of how would you say, kind of followed, and the whole process documented the same way as what it is for kind of distilling whiskey. So yes, I would love to see a kind of beer kind of policing organisation that would help to kind of protect a lot of these beers, or what we've got left. I mean, there's too many breweries that have been closed down and their production has been moved and mass produced in other breweries, and let's be totally honest, they're nowhere near the same beer anymore, even though regardless of what it says on the bottle label or the can or tin. So yes, I'm going to get into a rant here, but it's just unfortunate. I mean, San Miguel is a Spanish beer. This isn't a Spanish one. This is brewed by Carlsberg in Northampton. It's a bit as Spanish as my left bollock, and well, is it authentic? Is it bollocks? Does it get anything to do with the stuff that was brewed in 1890 or 1900, 1910, no. At the end of the day, it's all marketing bollocks basically. This is just going to be probably a mass-produced beer, and it probably has none of the attributes as the original San Miguel from Spain. Whereas you don't have that in the whiskey industry. Yes, there has been some casualties, there has been some things that have been lost, but nowhere near to the level or the degree that's happened in the beer industry in the UK, and not just in the UK. It's happening all around the world. Unfortunately, a lot of good beers and good breweries have fallen by the wayside because corporate breweries have came in, bought them over, closed down the brewery and just basically kept the brand. That's really all it is. What crap they put in the bottle or the tin doesn't seem to matter to them, as long as, hey, they can slap the brand that they want on that blooming label, bottle, tin, and then sell it as this around the world. That's the problem. Making money and selling brands and promoting brands is more important than what's actually in the actual container. What we drink doesn't matter. What we basically see advertised on television and internet and everywhere else does. But anyway, I'm not going to get too in depth in that. But as you can see, it would be good if we had something like that, and not just in the UK, but across, like, say, Europe and around the world, having different kind of organisations protecting kind of locally brewed beers, brands and traditions, local traditions as well. I mean, obviously German beer brewing is different from Belgium and Czech and Russian and British and everything else. There's lots of different traditions that really should be protected, and it might make it more advantageous for people to kind of bring back some of these brands, reopen these breweries and bring back these kind of more traditional processes. So it's something to think about. But anyway, in the meantime, let's try the cerveza from Northampton. Well, there we go. Some people would call that, well, it's very well carbonated. Jeez, it looks like it just came straight out of the soda stream. But yes, it's well carbonated. It's got the prawn cracker head, which, trust me, is going to dissipate very, very quickly, and it'll probably go to a complete kind of mill pod without any scum. What would you say about it? How would you describe it? Some people would say, oh, it's kind of straw coloured, very clear. Almost urine sample is what I would probably say. You probably say I've got quite a bit of disdain for it, but that's just life. Yes. It might lace the glass a wee bit, I don't know. It's got a bit of head's going down to what's known as a floating head, as I call it, which means there might be a bit of scum, which means if there's a bit of scum, there's going to be a bit of lacing to go with it. But we'll see. But as you can see, it starts off with a prawn cracker head, and it really does dissipate very, very quickly. Smell? I'm getting a kind of sweetness. There's no real grassy or strawness to it. It's a funny kind of chemical smell. Yeah, it has got a bit of a scum to it. So it has gone kind of mill pond with the scum. There's a kind of sweetness and chemicalness to it. But anyway, let's try it. Oh, fuck. Well, there's an honest reaction. That was strange. I got a strange flavour to start with, and it just dissipated before it even got to the kind of middle part of the tongue, and completely nothing as an aftertaste. Geez, that's unusual. Gee, I never expected that, as you could probably see. Oh, right. Apologise for the language, but unfortunately it was my honest reaction, so I'm not going to bleep it out because it's a natural reaction, and that first sip was not pleasant. Let's try again. Ooh. Ooh. Right. you get an ever so slight sweetness as it first comes in at the front of the mouth. As it goes between the front of the mouth and the kind of middle of the tongue, you end up getting a kind of earthy, soily kind of taste. And then after that, it just, nothing. So once you get past the kind of earthy, soily flavour, there's nothing there. So there's no real aftertaste at all. At all. But your last, you with the memory, your last flavour was a kind of earthy soil flavour, which isn't pleasant. And that's your memory. But there is no aftertaste. So, God, that's gone really quite well pondy now, actually. Really quite flat. Oh God, no. That, I'm sorry to say, is quite vile. Absolutely vile. I don't seem to think, I mean, do they taste these bloody beers? I mean, let's be totally honest. I know it's like San Miguel and everything else and all that, and it's Carlsberg, but does anybody from Carlsberg in Northampton Bray actually taste this shit? I mean, seriously, do you taste it and think, oh well, that's actually a good beer, let's fire that out? Or do you taste it and think, who gives a shit? You know, is it nice? No, is it bollocks? But it gives a crap. I mean, we'll sell it for a certain price point, we'll put the kind of popular brand on it, there you go. Hey, the bunters will buy it because they're stupid. I mean, who buys this? Let's be totally honest. I mean, I know you can turn around and say yes, not everybody can afford to buy really good high quality beer. If you want good beer, then a lot of it is maybe priced out of the kind of normal man's kind of pocket. Okay, I can understand that, but let's be totally honest, there is beers that are affordable. There is beers that you can go to that, I mean, let's be totally, I did a Modelo Mexican beer that I could buy in Aldi. No, total lie, it was Lidl. God. Yeah, it was definitely Lidl, I bought it Lidl. And I would probably say it's roughly about the kind of similar kind of price point as this. It's a far better beer than this. And I'm not saying it's a wonderful beer, but it's a better beer and it's a more honest beer than this crap. This crap is just dreadful. I mean, seriously, it's like drinking piss. It really, there's no pleasure to it. I mean, it's a bloody disgrace. And I feel sorry for San Miguel because I have a funny feeling that San Miguel probably produced a really nice beer in its day. And probably maybe still do over in Spain and that type of stuff, but it's kind of a Northampton kind of relative is piss water, absolute bloody piss water, and that probably gets my goat and my blood boiling and everything else, is that they just send out any old shit in a can or a bottle and there you go. It's all to do with the brand and it's got nothing to do with the shit that's actually in it. The contents of the container, well, it doesn't really matter. As long as it meets the alcohol content of 5%, it can taste like shit for all week here. At the end of the day, mugs will buy it because it's the right price and it's a brand that's been well promoted. And that's it. And it's what they can afford. I mean, it really is. They just show complete contempt for the blooming customer and the beer drinker by basically producing this shit. And I'm sorry for the language, but it is. I mean, go and try it. If you can, try the Northampton Cerveza and tell me that it's actually wonderful or great. It's just utter gut rot. It smells of bugger all apart from a kind of strange sweetness and kind of chemical smell. Oh, Jesus God, it's bad. It is bad. I'm glad it didn't. It wasn't part of the original kind of mass-produced series, because if it is, this would have been easily be last. And God, they were bad. Let's be totally honest. The one that actually won it wasn't good. That was the whole point. It was like the kind of the best of the bad. Well, we've now got even something that's even worse. I mean, I'm sorry, but this is down the sink. And I'm glad I've only got one can. I don't know how I managed to actually get one can. I think I managed to fire off the other 3 to someone else, because sure as hell I didn't drink it. So yeah, San Miguel, what would I give it? I'm going to give it a 0. Really, that's what I'm going to give it, because I'm absolutely bloody sick of this crap. Carlsberg, I don't know if you can actually brew any beer. I honestly really don't. Because really, if this is what you're offering, well, my view is you don't. Jesus. People using basically these kind of quick brew kits can brew something better and more honest than this crap. So Carlsberg in Northampton, you're shit at brewing beer if this is what your prime example is. You're crap, give up, useless. San Miguel, I feel sorry for the actual original San Miguel, whether it's still being brewed in Spain or not at this moment, because this isn't worthy of anybody's name. Never mind maybe a good original Spanish beer that's been basically been bought over by a conglomerate. So yes, 0 out of 5. My view is don't bother. If you want something, if you want basically good value for your money, drink water. Pour yourself a glass of water and don't buy this crap. Seriously, that's how bad it is. Water. This is a waste of good water. It's absolutely dreadful. You can shove it up your arse, basically. Oh, really, it does annoy me. So yeah, San Miguel, utter piss. 0 out of 5. Don't bother basically buying it. Don't waste your time. You can find better stuff for your money. And if you can't, just drink water. Because water is actually more beneficial to you and more pleasurable to actually drink than this. This is just utter crap. I'm sorry, but jeez. Just epitomises what's happened to the beer industry. Thanks to the likes of Heineken and Carlsberg and all these other horrible big beer conglomerates that basically buy up brands and close breweries and just make mass-produced piss all around the world. So well done. You've succeeded. Look at it. Absolutely flat now. Nothing there. Look at it. It's like a piss sample. Although the difference is a piss sample is actually more drinkable than this shit. So anyway, 0 out of 5. Thanks for watching. Don't bother buying. Cheers.